So, hey, what's up? How you doing, Cam?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
So, just for the purpose of the interview, what's your full name, how old you are, stuff like that?
My name is Cameron Alexander Nurse. 23. Wow, 23 years old. From Toronto, Canada.
Okay.
Six side. You know how it is.
Six.
And I ran sprints, specialized in the 200. Yeah, that's me.
So, so when did you first get into track? Kind of what age, kind of what grade?
Well, it's a complicated question. I ran track for the first time freshman year of high school, but it was kind of just for fun. I was playing basketball and playing soccer, so I kind of just ran track to fill the time. But I ended up really liking it. So my sophomore year, I dropped soccer and did track and basketball simultaneously. And I did really well, came third at states or provincials because I'm Canadian. And I started to really love the sport, so I dropped basketball because I wasn't growing tall enough. And everyone was growing more than I was, so I had to change positions. It was the whole thing. So I had to move. I moved to track, focused on it full time. So I would say I finally committed myself to track junior year of high school.
Okay.
And that's probably when I started to fall in love with the sport. Probably. Yeah.
Besides the success, was there any other qualities of track that that made you stick around?
See, that's difficult. Something I've played with a lot because some of my friends who are also retired talk about how they miss workouts and miss how it feels to die during practice, and I don't have that. I don't have that at all. I don't miss the lactic acid. I don't miss throwing up. But what I do miss is working towards a goal and being meticulous about how you're approaching achieving that goal. I miss the process, the grind, but not the feeling of the grind. I miss being totally obsessed about how I'm running, how I'm moving, and knowing that everything I was doing was to achieve the goal that I set out for myself. But in terms of the day-to-day, I miss running fast. I love running fast, but I don't like running fast for longer than 30 seconds. You know what I'm saying? Other than that. But I would say the meticulousness, the obsessiveness is what I miss the most probably.
And then you said you're talking about goals. So did you have, obviously, you're doing well, commit yourself junior year, focus on senior year. Senior year, were your goals to run in Canada? Were your goals to come? How did you, get to Boston?
The goal for me was always to come to the States. As I said, I play basketball. So watching March Madness every year, the goal was to go to the States. It's just that it happened I came here for track instead of basketball. So junior year, going into junior year, I felt like it was the year for me to really achieve that goal because in my head, you sign around January, February. So what you did the previous spring is what coaches will be looking at. So my junior year spring was the year that I really wanted to focus on. And I would say that that's the year I fell in love with track because it's the year I had the most success. It was the year I made the youth national team for Canada. And the way I made it it made it so much more than what it actually was. Even though, making the national team is great. Yeah. I didn't make it until the last weekend to qualify.
Oh, really?
Because the meet was before nationals, so they were just taking the top 2 times in the nation for each event. So going into the last weekend, I was third. And my dad was like, this is it. This is either you do it or you don't do it. You know what I'm saying? And he put me in a meet with grown men. So one, I wanted to make the team. And 2, I didn't want to get embarrassed
Yeah.
in front of everybody. So the first day on Friday, I ran the 4 and I ran 48.5, which is like a 1.5 PR.
Oh.
And the next day, I ran 21.5, which was like a half a second PR. I ran like 21.9 the week before. So I like the adrenaline rush and just like seeing the time and like knowing that like that time put me on the team, like it's a feeling I haven't really felt often.
I can do this. Like I put in the work.
Yeah.
Did this at a goal.
Yeah, like I feel like there's two people in track and field. Like the reason why you love the sport, and like either you love like the sport and you love running, or like you love those moments that like fill you with that like joy and adrenaline and just like you just want to scream. And like I fall into that camp. Like that's why I run.
I completely agree. That's cool. So you made the national team your senior year. You're looking to go to colleges. How was like the decision on that?
Man.
Thinking like where to go.
Senior year, man. Senior years, they just don't go well for me, bro. It's crazy. But so junior year, right? I don't know how it is in the States, but in Canada, your freshman year, you run against freshmen. Your sophomore year, you run against sophomores. But your junior year, you run against seniors and juniors. So in the 200-meter final, in my junior year, I was the only junior in the final. After the race, I come like fourth. And the guy who won and the guy who came second are like, yo, Cam, like, you know, next year, it's all you, blah, blah. I'm like, of course it is. Like, I'm the only person here. Like, it doesn't even matter. And then I hear rumors going into my senior year that Bilotti is coming back. Like, Bilotti is coming for a 5th year. I was like, they don't do 5th years in high school. What are you talking about? So like, you know, Toronto track and field is kind of like smaller.
And Bilal's the one. Was he first or second?
He was first.
Okay.
But the guy who came second also came back. But I just didn't know. I just didn't know at the time. But Toronto track and field is kind of small, so like everyone, when it gets cold, everyone goes to the same indoor facility because there's only like a couple, and this is like the best one. So everyone who's anybody is at this facility. And then I go to my first practice and I see Bilotti running, and I'm like, yo, what is he doing here? What is he doing here? I'm like, yo, Bo, what's going on? He's like, oh man, my eligibility is just like it fell through. I don't know what happened. So like I just came back. I'm like, that's like, it's supposed to be my year. This is my year. So, you know, I was more focused on getting a scholarship at that point. But I had a visit to Cornell early December, and I came to BU mid-December because they were doing their finals. I spent most of my visit actually in study hall, which was fine because I also had finals to study for, but like it wasn't the ideal visit. And not that I regret my decision to go to BU, I regret how quickly I committed because it was the first. Cornell's an Ivy, so they were like, oh, we can give you financial aid, but we can't give you a scholarship because Ivies don't do that. So BU was the first school to give me a scholarship. I got responses from other schools. University of Toronto offered me like 30% or something. And University of Wisconsin offers me like 60. So BU was the first to give me like a scholarship. Like we'll pay for everything. And I also like the school, the department was really good. I like the people, so I committed like the next week. And then I went to Spire because I already like registered for the collegiate showcase. And you know, I showed out, obviously, that's what I do. And then I got responses from Ohio State, Michigan, and Michigan State a month after I committed. And I had to tell them like I can't come. And not that I would have went to those schools, but it would have been nice to visit and like, but I didn't, like for me, the end goal was, in high school at least, the end goal was always to get to the States and to get my education paid for. So at the end of the day, I probably would have picked BU because it's the better academic school. Maybe it would have been between BU and Michigan, but I don't regret my decision. I kind of regret not playing the field a little more. You know, getting more visits, talking to people, you know, free flights, free food, all that kind of stuff. But back to senior year, I was training super hard. It was the hardest I ever trained in my life. And, you know, I ran through regionals easy because it's my time. And I didn't see Belade till provincials, which is states. Also, Dion, who came second in my junior year, he was in my club, but on a different sprints team. So I didn't see him until provincials either. But I knew that he was back. But I was like, he's whatever, he's nothing. Like, because he was really talented, but he didn't train. So I was like, he's not gonna see me. I work way harder than him. And I see what he be doing, so like, he's nothing. And then he actually ended up being in my heat at States. And my dad, before the race, was like, show him what's up. Just run 150 and then shut down, just to show him like what's good. And I think I ran like 21.7 and he ran like 22 flat. And I just walked off the track. But going into the 200 meter final, I knew that I was going to take like 21 low, like a time I never ran before, because Belade ran 21.0 the year before. So I was like, if he goes 20 point, like I don't know if I can run with him, but we got to just go. And I don't know what happened, bro, but like that was the worst curve I've ever run, ever. Like, I don't know if the pressure got to me. I don't know like what happened, but like I came off the corner and last. And I was like, yo, like what's happening? And like everything just went blank and I ran him down. I didn't beat Belade, came second, but I edged Dion by like .0001. And the funny thing is that before the race, Dion was like, yo, if I don't come second, like top two, I'm not getting the medal. Like I'm not getting it. And I was like, well then, you might as well just walk off the track because like, I'm coming top two. And we all know Belade about to, you know, work this shit. So you might as well just walk off the track now because why run? And like when I leaned, I looked over and I saw that I got him and I was like, yo, I appreciate you because I feel like I got carried from off the corner to the finish line. I don't know what happened. But I was pissed because I wasn't gonna disrespect Belade and be like, oh, I knew I was gonna beat him, but I felt like I should have been more in the race.
In the competition.
Yeah. So when it came to the 4x4, the 4x4 is a whole story, bro. It's a whole story. But my junior year, we had a squad, and then one guy like got into a fight the week before states, and he was ineligible. So then we got slapped. We didn't make the final. And then one of my friends who was on the team, he was a senior in my junior year, and I was like, yo, like if you come back, we could really do this. Like we could really do it. And he was like, I'll think about it. But he came back, and the whole season, I was anchoring the 4x4. But at States, like, I came off, I did what I usually do, you know, 400s, 500s. I came out the corner, like, flying, and then just everything, like, and, like, it wasn't the best finish. And we, at States, in the final, we were racing against Justin Knight's team. And my coach was like, Cameron, you're gonna run third. And I was like, yo, that coach, like, I'm the anchor though. And he was like, no, like, you know, we need someone who can close, who's the 800 guy in our team. Like, if it's tight, I can't have you, like, getting tight. I can't have you locking up. I'm like, all right. And Justin Knight was actually on my leg. And me and Justin go way back. We played basketball against each other since like we were in middle school. So we were talking shit, like before we got the baton. And his school was way ahead, like at least 20 meters. And he was talking, he was like, yo, Cam, like we're about to win this. And I was like, trust me, I'm gonna get you before I get off the corner. And I did that, obviously. You know, ran, split like 47. We won the race. It was my first and only state championship medal. So I went crazy. I was going off, screaming, crying, low key. Because states actually that year was in my hometown.
Oh, really?
So my whole family was there. So like, you know, it meant a little more. And then freaking Sanders, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, it's whatever. I wanted to make the national team again, but when I made the national team as a youth, I was in the top age of the youths. So like it was 15 and 16, and I was 16. But then the next year for juniors, I was 17, and I wanted to make the 18. So I had to race against Balade, Andre, all them niggas. So my bad. And you know, like Sanders, you know, since he was my future coach and he was the college coach, I just thought that he knew like so much, you know. And I was talking to him, and I was like, I want to get my corner better, because I feel like if I got off the corner in like a better position, like fifth instead of last, I would have beat Balade. And he gave me this workout to do, and I pulled my hamstring in that workout a week before nationals. Yeah. And then I still went to nationals because they bought me a ticket and I had a hotel room, and this was gonna be my last time going there with my boys like Marcel and Jordan and them. So I went anyway, and the national team coach, he was probably trying to make me feel better, but it made me feel like even worse, because he was like, you're not running? I was like, nah, man, like I pulled my hamstring. And he was like, all you had to do was step on the line, and I would have put you on the 4x1. Like, all you had to do was step on the line. And I was like,
trying to worry about
well,
work on that,
I can't. So thanks for telling me, I guess. Yeah, man, that was senior year, though. It was a whirlwind. It was a good time, but I didn't achieve any of the goals I wanted to besides the 4x4. Yeah, man. I went to college. Rest is history.
So for college, I mean, obviously, like when you're on your visit to BU,
Mm-hmm.
you're hoping to get obviously your school paid for when you're here, set for finals. So I'm assuming academics is big for you.
Yeah.
So what were your like academic goals / career, you know, post?
See, I still don't have a direction in terms of what my career is going to be, but I knew I majored in biomedical engineering.
Okay.
So I knew that I needed to focus on my academics. My dad has a master's and my mom has a doctorate, so me going to university was never really a question. I was going to go to university. I always had a fascination about running mechanics and prosthetics and how to like meld the two together. So prosthetics was kind of the avenue I went down. I was going down when I came here. So academics was a big reason why I came here, and it's like, because I feel like BU is well renowned, but not an Ivy League, so they can still give me money. But academics really drove me to, it probably made my time at BU a little harder. Choosing a major that isn't really accepting of athletes and doesn't really conform to like anything. Like you're gonna miss a quiz, you get 0 on the quiz, even though like I'm missing the quiz so I can represent the institution that you work for. Like it's not my fault, but hey, it's whatever. Yeah, so academics is a really big part of my life. As you can tell, I'm still in school. Continuing school, going to Vanderbilt next year, PhD. Look out. Well, 6 years from now when I have it. But I'm out here. Yeah, man. So it was rough freshman year because, as my brother over there knows, freshman year engineering is, whoa. Whoa. I don't know if they did this to you, but like in EK 100, which is like the introductory class, the guy talking was like, look to your left and then look to your right. Only one of you is going to graduate. And I was like,
sorry.
I don't know about y'all, but I'm going to make it. Trust me. And then my first Chem 101 exam, they released the grades before we went to class, which was probably a mistake because like it was our first test. It was my first test in engineering, my first test in university, and I got a 39%. Like, and I was like, what? I called my dad. I was like, yo, I'm not built for this. I'm not built for this. I need to switch to comm or something. I don't know what's going on, bro. And then he was like, well, what was the average? I was like, I don't know what the average was. It doesn't matter what the average was. I failed. I failed the test. And then I got to class, and they're like, yeah, the average was a 28. So if you got, this grade, then you got a C. If you got 35 or higher, you got a B minus. I was like, I got a B minus on the test? But I got 39%. It's whatever, though. It's whatever. So freshman year was a lot like that. Just trying to beat the curve, beat the average. Yeah. But you get the hang of it, catch your feet, all that kind of stuff.
So now that you're in college, adjusting to your BME, probably one of the, I would say one of the hardest majors to get, and then you're also running to, how did, just collegiate track look? Whether you want to use it in comparison to high school or just talk about it in its own?
So, collegiate track, man, I don't have any regrets because I gave it everything that I gave it, everything I had. But I wish that the coaching was a little different. Not just with like the replacements and stuff. Even like just coming from my high school coach was. I think that he could be the national coach if he had the temperament and the people skills and everything. But he was very meticulous about how we were running, our form, how we were applying force, everything. So I ran 21.3 winded out of high school without lifting. I didn't touch a weight. So going into college, I was like, I'm about to be a monster. I saw at Patriot League's Cam and David ran 21.4. Justin ran 21.6. I was like, I'm about to come and be the best on this team. Y'all not about to see me.
I'm skinny, and y'all.
Yo, I'm out here. Y'all not even ready for me, bro. So I came in talking shit. Just being a hot-headed freshman, you know what I'm saying? And I'll never forget, this was the workout. I was like, oh, this is different. Y'all on a different level. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Because when we would do sprint workouts, I would be, except for blocks, because, blocks were never my thing. I would be with Cam and Justin, whatever. Near the end, they would kind of pull away from me, but first few reps, I'm right there. And a race is 1 rep, so we're not about to do 8 200s. So, but we went to Summit, and it was the first time I got put with the long sprinters because technically I ran the 4, even though I told them I ran the 2, and that's all I do. So we did clusters, which is a sprint up, jog down. We did 1 cluster of 80, 100, and 120. So we ran up, jog down for 5 minutes, 80, 100, 120. And then we jogged back to the track and went to Nickerson.
Wait, before you get, can you explain Summit exactly?
Oh, Summit? Y'all don't know what Summit is. Summit Ave is the steepest hill I've ever seen in my life. There are probably steeper hills like Everest and shit, but Summit Ave is the steepest hill I've seen and had to run up. So, for those who don't know, for track, you run up hills to get stronger and, you know, develop speed endurance and whatnot. So, we would run up the hill and then jog down the hill for 5 minutes. Yeah. And then we jogged back to Nickerson, which is the BU home track. And the short sprinters did 4 150s, and the long sprinters did 4 250s with 2 minutes rest. And at the time, there was 4 long sprinters, including me. It was me, David, Steve, and Alistair. And so Steve, being the business captain that he was like, since there's 4 and there's 4 of us, we should all lead one. And I was like, if we're all leading one, I'm leading the first one because I don't know what it's gonna look like at the end, right? So the first one, I get on the line, I'm feeling okay, you know, I'm feeling kind of recovered. I go out, like I'm working, because he said he wanted him like 30, which is not slow.
Yeah.
And I'm working, and I start kind of buckling at 200, and this man David pulls up beside me, and he's like, come on, Cam, mid-rep. We're still running. And this man's clapping beside me, come on, Cam, you got it. I was like, what are you talking about, bro? And that's when I was like, oh, he's different. You know, a different level. And then Cam, in the 200 at the opening meet in December, it was me and Cam in the 2. And I was in lane 6, he was in lane 5. And I was like, you know, like we be banging in practice. So like, it's whatever. And you know Cam, he don't really be trying to practice. So obviously he just dropped 21.2 on my head top. And I ran 21.9, which is the first time I went sub 22 indoors in my entire life.
Yeah.
Which is like, I felt happy, but I was also like, I just got disrespected. Like, he just slapped me. But, you know, you gotta take it, like track is more personal than it is interpersonal, you know. Just because he did better than me doesn't mean I didn't make improvements, which is something that I had to learn over the course of my collegiate career. Because, you know, I was still new to the sport when I came into college. But, so, you know, I went home and I told my coach, I told him like, yo, I told him what happened, like these stories I'm telling you, I told him, I was like, I don't want to ever be disrespected like that, ever. Like, I want to work to be the best. So I did 2-a-days that Christmas. I went home early. So I was doing 2-a-days for like 3 weeks. And I came back, I was ready, bro.
Yeah.
I was ready. Like, I don't think people understand how ready I was. Like, I was trying to tell Cam how ready I was, bro. He wasn't listening, obviously, because he just slapped me last meet.